initially was maybe a little intimidating coming in because I felt like a lot of people were way ahead of me. But to be able to say, like, here's where I'm at. And one of my favorite things and reasons I said yes is because you guys met me exactly where I was at. And then you take me literally like step by step instead of cramming a ton of information down that I don't need right now, but will need in the future. And so it allows me, instead of like consuming tons of content and data and wasting my time and not needing it yet, it allows me to take what I need right now, take action on that, and then keep going. I would get on the call and Cody would always say, like, is it okay if we talk about this here? I'm like, I am getting every bit of my money invested out of this thing. I don't care where we talk about it. Here's my question and I need an answer. I don't care who else is listening. And so that's one of the things I love, though, is that every time somebody else does that too, and I can listen, like, I always learn from it. I feel like I'm starting to get traction, understanding, clarity, confidence, all of those things and that's what I would say the snowball effect has happened. If you want to come to every single call and just listen and not actually freaking take action and get the stuff done, then quit posting in the comments about why you're not getting any action.
Yeah. Welcome to the live stream. We got a hot topic. We're going to be doing another GSD student spotlight. But first, for those of you guys that don't know who we are, who this guy is touching his chest, the other guy waving his hand, that's Cody. I'm Rahul. We run this group called the GSD. We help digital marketers, coaches, consultants scale their business. The way we do that is how, Cody? Offers, traffic, sales, delivery. So
really,
we have a little
acquisition and client fulfillment, and that's going to be some really cool shit that Kim gets to talk heavily about, because she's been amazing. Honestly, I like to highlight student successes, and I like it even more when people actually show up, do the work, and be selfish. You know, I mean, what's the number one thing we say in GSD? It's about taking imperfect action. It's about getting out there and getting shit done. And Kim, I'm very proud to say, you showed up right at the beginning and you got shit done from the start. And that's the only way. I mean, what is it that we got zero to like 15K, right? A month?
19 and a half is where I ended last month.
She said, hold up, we did more. Let me tell you about the more. Okay, so 18.
So we fucked up the topic. We did
19 and a half, all good. Yeah. Hey, it's better. Mm-hmm.
19 and a half. Okay, so we fucked up the topic. It's not 15, it's 19 and a half thousand. Yeah. That's recurring revenue. Awesome. Well, like, why don't you introduce yourself real quick to the audience?
Yeah, Kim Fancher here. I'm in Texas. As you guys know, Texans love Texas, so got to make sure I slide that in there. But no, I have done sales and marketing for other companies, but I left to do this on my own in November. Went through another program that was an utter failure. It was much overpromised and a lot of underdelivered. And so when I came into GSD, it was a little hesitation as far as like making that investment again, trusting again, and hoping that everything works out well. But one of the things that I think about often is when I first started, I would post a little comment in our accountability chat asking about a question, and they would say, hey, can you get on the call and talk about this on this call? And I was like, yeah. And so I would get on the call and Cody would always say, like, is it okay if we talk about this here? I'm like, I am getting every bit of my money invested out of this thing. I don't care where we talk about it. Here's my question and I need an answer. I don't care who else is listening. And so that's one of the things I love, though, is that every time somebody else does that too, and I can listen, like, I always learn from it. But just getting started, I would say I'm more of like a baby agency getting started in this. And so it initially was maybe a little intimidating coming in because I felt like a lot of people were way ahead of me. But to be able to say, like, here's where I'm at. And one of my favorite things and reasons I said yes is because you guys met me exactly where I was at. And then you take me literally like step by step instead of cramming a ton of information down that I don't need right now, but will need in the future. And so it allows me, instead of like consuming tons of content and data and wasting my time and not needing it yet, it allows me to take what I need right now, take action on that, and then keep going. I don't even know if that was an introduction, but there we go.
Yeah, I didn't realize you were so new. And when you said you're a baby agency, maybe from age, you may be a baby agency, but
cute.
in digital marketing, every year is a couple of years more than dog years. So you age a little quicker. But from an age range, you may be a baby agency. From a revenue, like, I'll tell you this, you're crushing probably like 90% of the people out there, maybe even 90% of the people going to listen to this. right? Because
Well, when I started, I was like at
right.
$1,000, and it was definitely a baby agency. Now I feel like I'm starting to get traction, understanding, clarity, confidence, all of those things and that's what I would say the snowball effect has happened.
Right. I mean, like if you think about it, let's say you're on Shark Tank right now and you said you were there from November till now and they're waiting for you to have 0 sales when they go, oh, this is a hobby, go behind the barn and shoot it. They'll be like, holy shit, you're at like a $250,000 run rate in just this time, because then they're going to know that startup phase, that rocket ship, because you went through, like in Shark Tank world, it's bad manufacturing. In your case, it's bad coaching, but then you kept going and going and going forward. And so you have that 3-month gap of basically nothingness, right? Mental, do I do this? Do I not do this? Do I stay at home? Do I get a job? All those thoughts can go through someone's mind. But when you go forward and then you find somebody like that can actually match with what you're looking for, that's when you kind of start to blow up. So you've only been really running it, I'll count it till like since February, once you really got it started.
Yeah, I would say like January, I went through a program into November, and I went through that program and I launched in January. I did all the things they did. You guys know, I show up, I listen, I follow through. Even like right off the bat, they were like, run ads. Here's what you get ready to invest in ads. And I was like, all right, here I go. Here's my chips, all in. I'm betting on me. Mm-hmm. And I did it and spent like over $1,000 in ads and had like 4 or 5 leads, and they all were crap. And I don't mean like they were all crap. I mean like didn't even have an offer, didn't even know what they were doing. Like it was really bad. And so we shut that off, and I just started. Meanwhile, all of that's going on, I was organically trying to reach out. I ended up probably February, March time, I got 2 websites from people that I had previously worked with those people. I got websites. I started doing it, realized really quickly that I was selling my time for money and this wasn't scalable. And so I was like, how do I take what I know I can do, but then be able to build a business that is actually scalable? Because all of those thoughts went through my mind during that time. I would say like probably February, March time. I was like, how do I make this work where I don't have to go back to a different job, that I can be present with my family and my kids? Because that's my why, right? I wanted to show up. I came home to a letter from my 8-year-old that was like, I wish I could spend more time with mom. I wish mom could come eat lunch with me at school. And I mean, all these things. I wish mom had a break from phone calls. Like it was sad and embarrassing, that I'd had 0 control over my schedule, where I couldn't show up. And it was obviously impacting my family. And you guys know me, I'm definitely 100% a mom with dad jokes. But so I took on these websites. During this time, I found High Level and I found SaaS. And I was like, oh, this is a really good option where it may start slower in growth, but I can build up and have this kind of reoccurring stacking revenue going. But everybody that I talked to also had combined it with a big ticket offer. And so I didn't know how to combine the two and be able to scale and be able to service clients well. And so I had like all these pieces and ideas, but no real pathway of like, okay, let me take the pieces that you have, your ideas, and like, here's the pathway of what you need to do. Here's how your offer needs to be, how to craft the offer, how to communicate the offer, how to get it in front of the right people, and then continuing to optimize it. Me as a agency, optimizing my processes, my offers for my clients so I can get them better results. And then 2, optimizing client results and processes on their end of things that I can communicate with them or help them so that they can get better and better. And so I actually didn't start with GSD until mid-April. And during that time, I fooled around and didn't really know what audience I wanted to work with, what niche I wanted to go into, because I was like, I can't afford. What I felt like was I can't afford to say no right now. I'll literally take anybody, but what I don't have is time to waste. So I need to find the easiest, best audience to convert this with. I remember telling Cody that, and he was like, yeah, but do you actually like working with these people? And I'm like, I don't care. I'll work with whoever. And so I started working with those people, and I came back and I was like, just kidding. I don't want to work with these people. I like these other people. And so I spent probably the first month where I was this like back and forth. Like I kind of feel like I'm drawn over here, but seems like the easier path for me. But at the same time, that wasn't the right connection that I had. And so when I moved over to like, these are the people I want to work with, and here's how I want to work with them, and I had a better clarity of that, of actually what I wanted to offer them, who I wanted to offer it to, and how I wanted to help them, then it made all the other pieces fall into place. All the other things that you do in what would normally be month 1, but for me, it was like in month 2 and month 3, now I could follow through and do all of those things. And that's when, once I started doing it, it just snowballed and blew up.
Yeah, and I remember a couple of those conversations with you. So I'm glad you brought it up, because I think it's important for people to understand, energy, messaging matters so much. Like if you're looking around at the easy path, sometimes that's not going to be the scalable path, right? And so for what you did really, really well was came in, understood generally what you needed to do, put in the work. We had a couple of one-on-ones on the offers and niche and all that stuff. And then you actually trusted us. That's a big thing that I tell everybody is a lot of people start a little slower because no matter how much I tell you that I'm going to help you do well for your clients, you get imposter syndrome. But you did the thing where you're like, okay, I trust that Cody does know what the hell he's doing and that the systems are going to work. And so you went on and you launched the ads, and then it makes the organic so much easier, right? Because you did something I tell everybody to do, which is document, don't create. You went out, found the person, had the offer, said, okay, went out and found a couple of those people, and then trusted us to help with your fulfillment. And I mean, walk me down that path. And for everybody else, I was like that, me, I like to have everybody over explain for the benefit of everybody else listening, because I know a lot of them out there have this imposter syndrome, have this want everything to be perfect before they take the leap kind of thing. And you did a really good way of, taking the leap, taking imperfect action, and allowing yourself to gain the confidence through doing the thing. So can you kind of walk through the process and how that helped you kind of go so quickly once you got off the starting line?
Yeah. So one thing that I'll say is when you start out, you guys talk about basically taking your profile and making it like a massive online business card. And for me, that was really uncomfortable. So I will talk about like the things that when I went through it, I'm like, you're talking about trusting you. I'm like, I get to that point and I'm like, this is uncomfortable. Like, I don't necessarily want to do this as a personal person, but I come up to that point and I'm like, okay, I can take those fears or just nervousness or insecurity or lack of want to and not do what they say. And I can try to do this other thing. But then I literally invested all of this time, money, effort, resources, all of this to trust them because I felt like what they're doing is working. And so if I want to know if it works or not, I have to do it. All these other people are doing it. It seems like it's working really well. So why would I not? So things like creating my profile, one thing, like, again, big into family. And so taking my personal profile and putting my banner across the top and taking and putting offers up there and posting content, doing all this stuff from my personal page was uncomfortable. Adding these people I don't know and cold messaging them was uncomfortable. I told you, I was like, hey, I'm great at sales. I love doing sales. I love getting on the phone with somebody, listening to their business, figuring out what's working, what's not working, and where I can plug in to help them. But I like talking to those people who want to talk to me. I don't necessarily, how do I get them to that point where they raise their hand and they're like, yeah, I want to have a call with you. Because once I get them there, like, feel great. But it's getting to that point, and I don't want it to be awkward or uncomfortable or sleazy or spammy or any of those things. It was like, how do I do this well, where it's perceived well? Those were things that I would say coming into the program I had not done before. And having that be part of the program, I was hesitant on it because I was like, this is uncomfortable for me to do. I don't necessarily want to do this because I like showcasing my kids and things like that. And I remember even asking, like, is all this on our personal profile or is this the business? I have no problem doing this on the business profile, but you want me to do this on my personal profile? And it was like, yes. And I was like, okay, here we go. And so I did it anyway. And the moment I did, I had one person reach out to me about ads, got tagged. I was like, this is what I do. Here's my offer. And so I had one person reach out to me about ads. And I was like, hey, and the previous course that I had done was on ads. And again, I had ran them for myself and they did not go well. And so I was like, if I can't run them well for myself, what makes me think I can do this well for somebody else, for another company, and have them trust me? And so all of that imposter syndrome obviously comes into place when I was trying to still do this on my own.
Yeah.
But coming in and watching the ads course and being on ads calls and listening to it, one thing that made it super clear was when we looked at the rapid fire testing methodology, because it made complete sense to me then. It was scientific, it was strategic, it was math, it was numbers. It made 1000% sense, because numbers don't lie. And so it was very numerical, strategic, and made complete sense to me, versus what everything else I had been taught was almost like, try this, okay, tweak this. And it didn't make any sense. It was like, how am I supposed to learn this and replicate it? Because there's no strategy to it, no consistency to it of like, this is how it works. No matter what, this is what you can do. Mm-hmm. And so I took that first client, which I had already launched them myself, which was a whole mess. So when I got on the ads call and I was like, can you look at this? It was a mess. You're like, can you walk me through what you did here?
Yeah, I remember.
You're like, I'm not trying to be a jerk. Like, just explain to me what your mindset was. And I was like, I don't know. I was just trying things out. This is what I was trying to do. And you're like, okay, here's what we should do. One, go watch this training and figure it out. And I was like, okay.
I can see Cody saying, what you did, don't do that again. let's not do that.
Exactly. He was like, yeah, don't do that. So watch this. And then just so you know, this is kind of what we need to be looking at doing. And here's why. And I am a huge why person, because I don't, like I said, I don't want to just know for this client what to do. I want to know why we're doing that, why that matters, so that I know for the next person going forward. And so I what he said, I went and watched it. I was a completely different niche as well as what the videos were. However, I took the exact same concepts, literally same graphic design and everything, and I just applied it to this. And I put the ads out there, and all of a sudden the ads were freaking killing it. And I went through the content calls and was learning how to document.
I want to just to finish this, because it went from mess for your client to success. What was this? What did that client get again? I remember it was something crazy.
Yeah, it was nuts. So in the first 3 weeks that we ran ads, and this was on a $25 a day ad budget, mm-hmm. They had $63,000 worth of book jobs they were working on, and it was over $180,000 worth of quoted jobs, and then not counting all the other leads that had been there. That was at the 6-month mark. At the 2-month mark, this is the client who 2 months in, like I say, like fired me or let me go, but wasn't the case, because I still have them as a client on my SaaS, on my low ticket offer, mm-hmm. and gave great reviews, everything. But he was like, Kim, I have too much. I can't handle it. I have too many leads going on. So we actually
for the whole year, did you? It's a seasonal thing, and you booked him out for the whole.
Yeah. It's a summer seasonal offer that he can't do in the winter. And so he's like, I'm booked out 8 weeks. I can't handle this. This is just with the leads that I have going on right now that I can even remember and see, follow up with. And so it did help me also find like little places that I could help even more. And that was one of the things I asked, like, okay, how could I have helped better in this? Yeah. And that one of the things I did was like build out follow-ups for estimates that have been submitted, because those are holes that I could help fix, take them from lead all the way to sell. But had I not gone through understanding client retention and fulfillment and learning to ask those questions and plug in things like that, then I would have just been more of the original, what most agencies do. Here's the leads, good luck with it. And if they suck and you can't close it, it's on you. Instead, I'm like, friend, if you win, I win. And you say my client, if you lose, I lose, and you're going to fire me. So why would I not do everything in my power to try to help you take more of those leads all the way to close? I know that was a little there.
So what do you think the big difference was from like the way you were doing it to the way you're doing it now to get those results?
Yeah, one would be actually understanding what I was testing at every level. One, understanding how to test, period. Like that's what was the biggest difference. Now, every campaign I go into, I can know myself how I'm testing, what I'm testing for, the process. And because of that, I can now set very clear expectations for the customer of what they can expect through every stage. So like right before this, I was sharing with you guys, like we recently launched a new ad campaign for a roofing company. And this is my second roofing company that I've done. In the first roofing company, we launched them, and right off the bat, they were getting like $25 leads, $18 leads. Like it was freaking fantastic. Guys got like a 35-40% quote rate, like an 18% booking and close rate. Like his ROI is like 10x right now. So he's killing it. It's going great. And then I launched these other ones, and I launched it right before the weekend. And Cody talks a lot about not looking and making decisions. 1, emotionally. 2, don't babysit your ads, which I still struggle with. And 3, not making rash decisions on the micro data instead of being able to step back and look at the macro data. So initially it was just like learning how to test and what to test. And because I understood that, now I could explain it to a customer. I could set those expectations. So now, like the new ones that I launched, it would have had a much higher cost per lead. But because I knew what to look for at every level, not just at one level, I didn't freak out about it. I understood the process of what I was testing and what was happening. And so I let it continue to spin. And now the leads came back down to like $25 for this person, where and it was looking like it was over $130 a lead, which normally would make me freak out. But instead I was like, it's okay. It's spending across multiple audiences. So it's not like that one audience cost that lead $130. It's doing what it's supposed to be doing because this is what we are testing at this stage. All other metrics are working really great. Click-through rate is good. Cost per click is good. All of this is good. So I'm going to let it continue to spend because I also know weekends are weird. They're hit or miss. So I'm going to wait through Monday and Tuesday. By Tuesday, they had like 5 leads at $25 a pop. And I had one audience that I was like, okay, this has already spent a lot and it hasn't converted. So I'm turning it off and letting this spin through the other one so I can test it. I knew what I was looking for then. So twofold. 1, actually had a process to follow. 2, I understood the process of what I was testing now. 3, I could explain it to a customer. And because of that, I could set their expectations, which means I'm not stressed and they're not stressed. I'm not stressed about it performing. They're not stressed about leads coming in and stinking the first month that happened. You know, we're just going to get better and better.
Because now that you have like these special set of skills, right? Like from like the movie Taken, you have these special set of skills.
You and your movie analogies here.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll get into some Remember the Titans through this one and maybe some Talladega Nights too or something. Who knows? But anyways, but now that you have these like particular set of skills, like before it would have been like, is this campaign going to even work? Like, and are they going to fire me or am I going to fire them? Like, what's going to happen? So now it's just like, you're the authority now, right? Yeah. So it's like, if they freak out, you're like, nope, it's fucking dope. This is why, here's why. We're in this testing phase. It's early. The weekends are wacky. We're going to wait till Tuesday. Let me do my thing. You sit back, relax. Even $130 fucking lead is amazing if they close it. Even if they don't, if they have a profit, if the lifetime value above the lead cost, if the lead cost is here and the lifetime value is up here, we're winning. That's a Mr. Wonderful quote. If Mr. Wonderful likes that, I like it because he's a billionaire, right? Yeah,
the other roofing company that we did, told you his leads were coming in, great cost per lead. He's opening and closing. And right off the bat, he got like 3-4 leads and they were going really well. He's booking them. He was like, hey, can we try this thing on this creative? Hey, can we test this? And I was like, listen, you pay me to know what to test, when to test, and when to not touch it. So just trust the process.
Where have I heard
coming
that?
out?
Yeah, where have we heard that
sentence before?
All of my Cody was coming out of me. I was just regurgitating it back out, you know, but I was saying the exact same things. I was like, nope, you pay me when to know when to touch it, when not to touch it, you know? And so all of that, because of it, like I went into that first campaign, when I said yes to that client, I charged them so low because I had zero idea of what I was about to do was going to work or not work. I had zero confidence in it, zero authority, and I sure as heck was not going to be posting results or what was going on because I had no idea what was going to go on or happen. But because of that, now I could say, this is what we're doing, and this is how it works, and this is what's going on, and this is the result, and here's what happens for us. So do you want this for your company? And after that, like immediately had like 2 new people reach out to me and was like, hey, I want to talk to you about this. How do I get a meeting with you on this? And because of that process and understanding, like I'm telling you, everything just snowballed because I trusted the process.
Right. And when we were talking, I think it was Tuesday or maybe even last week, Tuesday was just yesterday. So it might've been last week on Thursday. You were talking about how can you go, like you were at 15K last Thursday, I believe it was. Now we're at 19 and a half. So you were saying like, how do I prospect plus fulfill? Right. And apparently you figured that part out in like 4 days. Then you worked on a weekend because you obviously scaled 4,500 more since our last chat, which screwed up my topic, by the way. Thank you very much.
Happy to contribute to that. Anybody else want to contribute to that?
but like if we're for the people in the audience, what I want you to understand is number one, she mentioned like she's a mother first. Like this is what it's for. How when her child said, "How do I get more free time?" This is what the sacrifice takes. And look at short period of time where the income can bolster. Now free time could be abundant. We have choices now. We have choices to say, I want to work this many hours now. I'll fulfill this many hours. I'll prospect this many hours. But now you have vacations, all this other stuff that you could do. But at the same time, you have choices. Do you want to hit 50,000? Do you want to hit 100,000? Do you want a team? But this is a solopreneur. This is what it's all capable of. And like, think about what we've talked about thus far. We talked about a niche, an offer, and ads, a client acquisition system right away. That's how quickly circumstances change. It's because if you've had coaching in the past, like Kim has, it didn't work. Boo fucking who? Welcome to the club. Now, when you find somebody who knows what they're doing, experienced enough, does what you're trying to do, those are the people that are going to get you where you want to go. And that's what I want people to understand is I'm not trying to sell the GSD. I'd love it if you guys reach out to us. We already know what we do is going to work for you. We just may not have met you yet. But the point being is when you follow this process, you have that hard work ethic because it's going to be hard. It's not going to be fucking easy. I'll tell you that. Shit is hard. Especially when you have other outside things with children, husband, parents, maybe you get sick, surgery.
Full time at night on weekends. I have 3 kids. Football season happens. Like
life. You're in Texas. Exactly. You have football is more important than work in Texas, right?
Yeah, I agree with all those things. And I would say too, like, that's one thing that I get a lot of because I told you I was in a previous coaching program. And so a lot of those people are stuck or in the same position that I was in, or they feel like they have tried and they want to give up. And I literally posted in that group today because a lot of us kind of joined together and stayed. So I literally posted in there today saying, you know what, I literally completely pivoted my business 3 times in such a short period to keep going and figure this out. So I didn't do this in like 90 days from November that I started, which the other program was like over promised and under delivered, but it was because they only gave me like a fraction of the puzzle, where here I already had a lot more of those pieces and I had the right pieces at the right time to take action on to actually move the needle where I needed to. And that's when I came to Cody and I was like, hey, things are popping off. It is really great. But like, oh crap, how do I handle this going forward? And he was like, one thing that was really helpful is because by nature, he was like, you're going to want to like slam on the brakes. Don't do that. And I was like, yeah, okay. And again, like it goes against everything I want to do. Cause in my head, I'm like, crap, I got all this fulfillment I've got to do. Like it was fun when it was just get sales. And now I've got all these sales and like, crap, now I've got to do the work. And normally that's what I would have done. I would have like slammed all the brakes and been like, I can't do that because I've got all of this. But then now I've learned like if I would have done that, because I know I busted tail during the last 2 months, continuing. So then the snowball happened and everything dropped in like 1 month. Or I say 1 month, like it really just like over doubled in a month. And so when that happened, I wanted to be like, okay, reach my mark, whoop, and pulled it off. And Cody was like, feel like a boat. Like you can let off the throttle, but like keep coasting, you know? And one thing that helped me is understanding, he was like, there's these different growth patterns that happen in business where you have growth phase versus build phase, but you can't completely shut this off, because if you shut this off and you spend the time building, especially, he was like, people like us are really smart. We're hustlers. We want it to be almost like to a certain level before we say, okay, now we're ready again. Now we're professional again and we're ready for what's next. But when you do that, all of this other has basically stopped, come to a complete halt, and you have to now build all of that momentum up. So I asked him, I was like, okay, so when you're saying throttle, like exactly how much does that give me time-wise? Like exactly how much less can I post and all this? And he was like, I would love for you to continue doing exactly what you're doing. And I remember like, again, each time I've grown and like hit this milestone, yes, like moment in your mind where you're like, okay, do I push through this and just into the process? Do I go backwards? And I knew like I had put so much. I look back and I'm like, I've already put so much into it. that I didn't want to lose everything that I already had. And I knew what I do this month feeds me next month and the next month. And so if I don't do it right now, sure, I may have money this month, but then it's not going to feed me next month or the next month. It may, but it may not, because we understand agency. So the only way for me to be able to continue that and to have these opportunities for my family, for vacations, for whatever, buying an espresso machine. And so the only way I could do those things is by continuing to stay disciplined and dedicated to what I was already doing, what was working.
I mean, I gotta say, Rahul, I think we found like the author of our next GSD book. Like, if we want her just to ghostwrite it, I think she pays attention enough that she could probably write it, at least my chapters. I'm pretty sure she just word for worded one of my monologues that I give all the time. So that's actually fucking fantastic. I think we need to get her to
well, I mean, the best part about this is that it's only like a fraction of what she's probably learned. And I know we'd have to have like a Netflix series to be able to walk people through like the steps and the modules of like of what the circumference of things are, but simplified. Like, you guys are out there, like, look how simple it is. Dope offer, it worked, ads, confidence, go sell like fucking crazy.
Yep.
And it helps, like, the belief. This isn't to toot my own horn. This is to say for your coaches and two that you pick, but the belief in the system you're bought into, so in order to leverage to get your own confidence, right? That's key. Leaning into what you know is going to work and leaning into somebody there that's a couple steps ahead of you and trusting that they can help you do it allows you to slingshot up to where you want to be. And so it kind of in that vein, Kim, like, let's say you didn't join the GSD. Let's go back a few months. Let's say you didn't join the GSD. What do you think things would look like right now if that choice hadn't been made for you?
Stress, like I was like stressed out of, because like we had sold a house when we moved here. We had other things. So we had like this nice cushy savings account there. And my husband was the one that was like really encouraging me, pushing me to like go out and do this on my own. And I've worked since I was 15. So I've always been a high contributor, like either matching his salary or above his salary, like always been a high contributor, always loved working. And so when you go and always had that like attaboy, like I come into any job and freaking kill it, blow their mind, and always got those affirmations. And now it was just me against me. And that, I didn't have any like attaboys or affirmations. And so every day, like I was building and building and building and not really seeing anything happen, or seeing it and then it just kind of flopping, knowing that it was like a one-off thing. It wasn't a consistent thing. Yeah. And all the while watching like our savings just kind of start teetering off every month as we're doing this. And my husband continuing to say like, you're going to do this. You're going to do this. Keep pushing, and you have that moment, like Rahul said, like there was 100% actually before the call with you guys. It was that moment of like, am I going to get another job or no? And my husband was like, let's map it out. Worst case scenario, what happens? And I was like, worst case scenario, I have to get another job. But then if I do that, I can't drop off my kids. I can't pick up my kids from school. If that happens, then I had to pay for after school childcare, which is, I might as well just not work at that point. But I love working and contributing and being able to have all these things. So it felt like everything else was a lost situation. This was the only way that it was going to provide what we needed going forward. So that's where I had that mental check of, okay, we're going to do this. But I knew I couldn't do it on my own. Because I have been doing that. I've been consuming so much content and data and information trying to help me to get where I was going. And I love like one of the analogies you talk about going to the gym with the coach there and how that person excels far better than the other person coming in by themselves. My husband's a strength and conditioning coach and a football coach. If anybody understands that, I understand that. Before working out with him, I weighed like 105 pounds. And then I worked out with him and I went from looking like a chipmunk at 105 pounds to 127 pounds. And I was like freaking lean, mean machine, And so I understand what that looks like and the growth that can happen and the confidence. Like I went from being in a gym, like stick me in this other room where nobody can watch me because people watch you work out. And I don't want to follow that up because I don't know what the heck I'm doing. Versus now I can go in there and I'm like, look at this person. Like they must be just starting out. Like, hey, buddy, you got it. Like keep going. It's okay. I'm glad you showed up. But you can tell the difference by having that person. So when you give that analogy, it resonates with me because I understand that. I live that life, So when I was looking at it, that was one of the first questions I asked in when I was talking with the group, the GSD team, one of the things I had asked was, I have an idea of what I need to do because I've been consuming so much content and information. I have an idea. It's just, I want to get there faster. And I was like, I need somebody to promise me they are going to tell me exactly what to do, when I need to do it. And I am a great student. I'm going to learn and I'm going to execute, but I don't have time to waste. And that is what I would say did it for me. If I had not joined GSD, I would probably still be doing that, wasting time, building, doing action. One of my favorite things my husband says all the time is don't confuse activity for achievement. Now, it's a quote from a famous basketball coach, but he says, don't confuse activity for achievement. So what I was doing was I was doing all these things, but nothing was happening. No needles were moving. I had spent months doing this, consuming, building all of this stuff. But what did I have to show for it? Like 2 websites, one guy that I didn't even know how to run ads for appropriately. I was kind of using him as a dummy to kind of test it out and figure it out and learn and get better on my own. Or I could take the risk again and do all the things and trust the process and buy into it 100% and take action. And that's what I did. And that's the difference. But that was the pivotal moment, was taking that. And I literally wrote it on my own timeline the other day. I was like, what is the difference of, have I invested in the programs before? Yeah. Did they always work out? No. But what was the other option? I am way too driven, way too hungry to sit there and not move forward. So I take whatever I could have learned from that program, I stack it on the last brick that I had, and I step up on top of it, and I freaking keep climbing the ladder because I'm going to keep growing. And if it's me against me, then I'm betting on me because I know I'm going to put in the work. So I just needed the right person to give me the right bricks.
I absolutely love it. And I want to take a minute and give a shout out to Kim's husband because not everybody's spouses are that cool with
that's supportive. Yeah.
He's amazing. But yeah.
As a person who has a spouse who has stood beside me and been like, okay, it's cool. Go do whatever the hell you want, you crazy bastard. I'll just support you the whole way through it. I know how good that can be. And I've seen how bad it can be on the other side of it for entrepreneurs who don't have that. So big shout out to Kim's husband, because that's fucking amazing. Now, one last thing to end this stuff up, unless Rahul wants to throw something in at the very end, but I want to just give you a question. So what do you say to somebody that has goals, has ambitions, they're sitting around just like you, like where you were, kind of put yourself.
Freaking take action.
But they tell themselves, I don't have time. I'm tired of coaches. Will this work? I'm stuck. All this shit is the same. What would you tell that person about us to maybe use the GSD that gets them over that hump that they're stuck in?
Oh, good question. So one, I'm going to tell them, like, you have time or money. Which one are you going to spend? It's going to cost you a crap ton of time to get where you need to go, or you can just invest the money right now and get there a whole lot quicker, get a huge return, and then be that much further ahead. So time or money investment here, it's going to cost you something. It's just, which one are you willing to allow it to cost you? And promise you this one's going to be a lot longer and a lot more expensive than what GSD is. So that's one thing that I would say. But 2, I'm glad you asked this because I literally had this conversation with like 3 other people today. And one of the things that I told them is, I don't know that I've met people who care so much. Like, we've been on calls where you'll say something, you're like, I'm sorry, I don't mean. I'm like, nah, don't be sorry. Like, just tell me what it is. I don't care if it's awful and you tell me never do that again. Got it. I won't do that again because I bought into this. And so I'm going to trust the process. But for somebody to I don't want somebody sugarcoating it. Just tell me how it is. Keep it real with me. Tell me I'm doing a good job or I'm wasting my time. Tell me one of the two. Just keep it real because this is business. Let's move on. But then to turn around and care, not just like on a personal side, like I've seen other people in the GSD program go through a lot of stuff personally that I can't imagine. And to have you guys come alongside them the way you have has been very humbling because you don't get a lot of that in this space. You see a lot of selfish people who are only worried about themselves. Mm-hmm. And you guys really do, like, you will stay late on calls. You've hopped on one-on-ones. Like, you care so much about each individual success. It's not a group thing. Like, I've been in that where it was a group thing. It felt like I didn't get heard. I didn't matter, just a number. And that is not the feel at all. Even if it's hey, what the heck were you doing here? And it's like, hey, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. I'm like, no, very, very good question. I don't know, because I don't know why I did that. That doesn't make any sense either. Okay, I'll switch it back. Like, even if it is a real conversation, you still have so much care. And that's what I would say is the huge difference. I was so nervous I was going to do all of this and somebody was going to leave me out there to dry, because that's what happened before. But in this, it was like the only way I failed is if I didn't show up. I didn't raise my hand and say, I need help with whatever it is, like I had somebody today, I was like, hey, I'm going to bring this up on the bottleneck call. They're like, what's a bottleneck call? And I was like, oh, bottleneck calls are my favorite call, because I can bring literally any issue I have whatsoever to this call, whether it's mindset, whether it's ads, whether it's messaging, whether it's a sales problem, whether it's just I'm kind of stuck and I don't even know what to tell this client. They're being weird or whatever. Like, I can literally bring anything with zero judgment to this call and it gets addressed. And I love that, and that everybody else is the same way there. And I'll apologize a million times on the call saying, I'm so sorry I'm taking so long. And everybody's like, no, this is good. Please keep going. And I'm like, good, great. Glad everybody's benefiting. But that would be like the biggest thing that I would say is, obviously, numbers don't lie. One, like that's a fact. Numbers don't lie. My numbers are not anything special. I go through a lot of programs and look at all their results, and it's people who already had these great offers or years in business or had all this clientele base. And that wasn't me. I came with one client. I was charging $500 a month for ads, and that was it. And I didn't know what the heck I was doing with him. And I had only done 2 other websites, and they were freaking long projects, and they weren't anything amazing. So nothing that I have is some kind of special results that are only for me. Like, I am as average as it gets for an everyday person. Like we've talked about, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm somebody who went through school. Like, I started out just doing this without any type of like history or client base or anything like that. I came in at the bottom as a baby agency. So my results are anybody's results. Like, anybody can have these as long as you come in and take action. So numbers don't lie. That's one thing I would say. 2, I already said time or money. Which one are you going to invest? And then 3 would be the fact of how much you guys care. Like, the only way somebody's going to fail in this program is if they literally don't show up or put in the work. Because you can show up and not put in the work. Let me just say that. If you want to come to every single call and just listen and not actually freaking take action and get the stuff done, then quit posting in the comments about why you're not getting any action. Well,
so basically, they only fail in the Get Shit Done program if they don't get shit done.
It has to be intentional. It has to be intentional. Like, I like to just spend money and not do anything about it. Right. So it's got to be intentional failure. But the whole point is closed mouths don't get fed. So we encourage everybody to show up, ask questions, get uncomfortable to make it comfortable. And that goes for the same whoever's listening to this. Closed mouths don't get fed. If you don't ask a question, don't expect an answer. Nobody owes you shit, right? So if you want help the right way, you want to accelerate your growth, you're only hurting yourselves by not finding somebody to mentor you through that. And if it's us, I'd love for you guys to reach out to us. That would make it awesome for us. We'll help you along the way, show you what we got, open the kimono. You open yours and we'll see how we can help. But that's really how simple it is. A question away can change people's lives forever. That's really what it's all about. So don't be afraid, take control. Kim, thank you so much for spending this whole hour with us. We really appreciate your time. And when we send you the replay of this, we'll leave the beginning part of the recording in for you too.
Please do.
Awesome.
For my own content.
Yeah, and everybody, can we get a hashtag Kim in the audience there? We didn't even do any hashtag live, hashtag replays. If you guys
guys,
drop some love, smash your takeaways, smash the heart button, like button, everything. It'll help reach a lot more people too, because I think this is a really good spotlight where people can literally understand the situation, from being new, from having circumstances, from being busy, having a mom, a husband, parents, etc. Like, I mean, life is life, right? It throws you fucking curveballs, but you get to control them, right? You can still hit them. All right, guys, have a great rest of the day in the GSD. Kim, thank you so much.
You guys take care.
Bye, everybody.